having said that, now I'm excited to bring April Verret on, president, and I hope I pronounced your name correctly, April, who is the president of the Service Employee International Union, SEIU 2015. Did I give your your last name justice?
It works. It's Verret, but thank
Verret.
you. It's good to
All
be.
right. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So, I with tell us about SEIU. But before you do this, I have to say, I don't care what happens as it relates to justice issues across the country. SEI shows up and shows out. Your union members are very, very dedicated to it, from appearances, to making sure that all people are treated fairly, and it's been amazing. So it's good to see you and see one of the leader, who's making all these things happen. And now we're talking about caregiving. I don't know the connection, so help connect that dot for me.
Sure, I am happy to. I'm happy to. And I must say, we are speaking on a morning where the work that has been in motion for over 20 years that caregivers have been leading in this country is finally one step closer to being a reality, with the House passing the President's Build Back Better Act. But to tell you who SEIU is, and specifically SEIU 2015, the Service Employees International Union represents 2 million workers across the country. I lead a local here in California where we represent 400,000 caregivers, mainly women of color, largely immigrant, who do the work of home care and nursing homes. So 400,000 people who every single day wake up committed to delivering the care that seniors and people living with disabilities, or those who are getting over illness, they just need a little bit of help, so that those folks can live a life that is still filled with quality and with dignity. And we are proud to be a part of a larger union, as you talked about, that really centers, of course, worker and economic justice. But we know we will not find worker justice or economic justice without also making the realization of racial justice real, that those are inextricably linked, and that we cannot separate the issues of race from the issues of our economy and how people of color, how women, how immigrants fare in this economy. And so we don't just, bargain contracts or represent someone who might get in trouble at work. We fight for a range of justice issues, because the poor women I represent, right, we can bargain them a raise, but that's not going to change the circumstances of the communities that they live in. And so we're going to fight for immigrant justice. We're going to fight for climate justice. We're going to fight for housing justice, for racial justice. You name it, right? We show up. We fight for our democracy.
Exactly.
It's all very much connected.
And so how will this bill, benefit caregivers?
So the bill makes an investment in home and community-based services, right? And that sounds really, really wonky. But what HBCS is, it is a Medicaid program that allows states to develop programs for home care for seniors and people with disabilities, as I spoke about before. So if you need help with cooking or cleaning or taking your medication or getting to the doctor, the Medicaid program allows for people to get paid to come into your home to help care for you. In this country, there are over 800,000 people on waiting lists today for home and community-based services. There are countless states that haven't developed a robust program that really meets the needs of an aging population. 10,000 people turn 65 every single day in this country. And we don't have a care infrastructure that is prepared to care for them adequately. And so this investment does 3 things. It expands access to care to get those 800,000 folks off of waiting lists and into programs. It also makes sure that the workers who deliver the care have a fighting chance at a quality of life, because these women are working and living in poverty. And so this says, if you want the money, you got to raise wages, you got to make training accessible, certification, so that we can grow what is today poverty work into good middle class jobs. It's the largest growing job classification in our country. And so let's create a new middle class centered on good paying jobs for women that do care work. And the last thing that we want to do with this investment is start to right some generational wrongs. 87% of this workforce is women, overwhelmingly women of color. Why, if we center them, we raise their wages, we begin to undo some of the harm that has been done as these women have been dismissed, disrespected, and left out of economic recovery. And so we're solving for some of the racial and economic injustice, as well as making sure people are cared for and people are paid a living wage.
You know, April, it sounds like, you know, we in this country, we look at you know, creating legislation, funding bills to fix a problem, as opposed to setting up a model that ensures that, you know, problems like this don't exist. I mean, everybody now is looking for ways to age at home, to have a safe place, you know, in their homes, to have someone to help them take care of their homes. It seems like it costs less to do that than to house them someplace else.
It absolutely costs less.
So what is the model though? Where would you all like to see us be? Is there a model someplace, you know, elsewhere in the world where, you know, if the United States was like blah, you know, whatever,
Yeah.
this is what we need to be striving for.
So there are many, countries that do a much better job at caring for seniors than we do here in the States. Places like New Zealand, Japan, have more robust care infrastructure. But we also have been doing good work here in this country as well, in certain states. Washington State, here in my home state of California, we're going to see, workers in San Francisco County, earn up to $18 an hour soon.
Okay.
I'm here in California, there are no waiting lists. If you need care, you get care. None of it is perfect, but we have begun making inroads. But there is so much work to do to make sure we are being more proactive to create a care system that meets the needs of those who need care as well as those who provide the care.
Do you have a response to the opposition of this bill? Let's say, Congressman Manchin out of West Virginia, who believes just the cost is, who doesn't support, the increased inflation that he thinks the bill will cost. What do you say to some of the those who have opposed this bill?
Sure. I would ask them, well, what do you intend to do for the families that have been struggling in this economy, that were struggling before the pandemic, that have struggled during this pandemic and will continue to struggle? If you think it's hard for folks now that inflation is starting to go up, right, that some middle class folks are feeling the pinch, well, what about the people who have been living in poverty, who that this pinch that you're feeling isn't new to them? Right? We cannot continue to kick the can down the road and ignore working families in this country. I am so proud of our president for passing the physical infrastructure bill. That is great. But we know 90% of those jobs are going to go to white men. You cannot stop leaving out women and women of color. We have to build an economic recovery that touches their lives as well. And so Senator Manchin, we can't leave anybody out. We got to create an economy and a country that is about including all of us.
Sounds a great note to end on. And I appreciate you being with us and helping us to understand, we hear this Build Back Better infrastructure bill, and a lot of us don't know all the pieces or components that are in that bill that will impact our lives, over and above, safe streets. And
That's
so we want to thank you so much, April, for being with us. We certainly do celebrate SEIU for all that you all do to, like you said, to protect justice for all of us. So thank you again for joining us.
Thank you for having me and for what you do to protect justice. Thank you so much.
All righty. Have a great one.
You too.
Okay.